Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is The Tower with No Stairs. Clara held Abuela's hand tight as they stood in the bright square. Above them rose a tower, tall, made of warm orange brick. That is La Giralda, said Abuela softly. It has been here almost 900 years. The morning sun painted long shadows across the stone. Pigeons circled the top. Can we go inside? Asked Clara. We can walk all the way to the very top, said Abuela with a smile. Clara's heart began to beat faster with excitement. The air smelled like bread from a nearby bakery and old stone. Other visitors arrived, cameras clicking in the quiet morning. But Abuela took Clara's hand and led her toward the tower's entrance. Wait until you see what's inside, said Abuela. It is very special. Clara stepped through the heavy wooden door. Cool air touched her face. It smelled like centuries of stone and leather. She looked around for the stairs. There were no stairs. Where do we go up? Clara asked, confused. Look, said Abuela, pointing ahead. A long, smooth slope curved gently upward into shadows, then another slope and another. They were ramps, not stairs. They're so gentle, said Clara, touching the worn stone floor. Yes, said Abuela. Many people have walked on these ramps, feel that smooth spot. Clara could feel where millions of feet had worn the stone smooth over centuries. Why ramps and not stairs? She asked. Abuela's eyes grew warm. That is the real story. Come, we'll climb slowly and I'll tell you. They began walking up the first ramp. It was so easy that Clara barely felt like she was climbing. A very long time ago, Abuela began, this tower was part of a mosque. What's a mosque? Asked Clara. A place where people came to pray. And at the top of this tower, Abuela paused as they walked around a curve. Light came through a small window. Lived a man called the Muezzin. His job was to sing prayers. He lived at the very top. Clara peered upward. He did, and he had to get there every single day, said Abuela. But here's the strange thing. He didn't climb alone. Clara's eyes grew wide. He rode a donkey, said Abuela. A small donkey with soft brown fur and long ears. Clara giggled. A donkey in a tower? A donkey, laughed Abuela. Donkeys cannot climb stairs. Their hooves slip on hard edges. So the builders made ramps instead, said Clara, understanding. Exactly, said Abuela. Ramps are gentle. A donkey can climb them easily. They walked higher. The air grew cooler. Were there really donkeys here? Asked Clara. Yes, said Abuela. The donkey probably knew this path better than anyone. As they climbed, Clara stopped at each small window. Look how small the people are now, she said. Below them, Seville was becoming a patchwork of red roofs and green trees. The Guadalquivir River glinted like a silver ribbon. Do you see how the ramps work? Asked Abuela. It makes climbing feel like you're just taking a walk, said Clara. Not like steps that make your legs tired. That is why they are still here, after all these centuries, said Abuela. Because they are kind to our bodies. A child, a grandmother, even a donkey. Everyone can climb. Clara smiled at this. It was true. Her legs didn't feel tired at all. They passed through another cool arch time, felt slow and peaceful here, like the stone itself was sleeping. These ramps were built nearly 900 years ago, said Abuela. Then, much later, other people added the bell tower on top, in the year 1568. How do you know all these numbers? Asked Clara. I have visited many times, said Abuela, but I learned something new each time. They reached a landing where the ramps seemed to end. A narrow doorway led to the bells. May we go in? Asked Clara. An old guardian smiled and nodded. Inside, huge bronze bells hung in the shadows, their surfaces dark with age. These bells have been calling Seville for centuries, whispered Abuela. The bells were so large that Clara felt small beside them. She reached out to touch one cold bronze curve. In that moment, she understood. This tower had been ringing for nearly 1,000 years. Come, said Abuela, the very top awaits. They climbed to the final ramps. The light grew brighter, and then they stepped out onto the highest terrace. Seville spread below them in every direction. There, said Abuela, pointing. Look at the city, all those roofs, all those streets, all those people waking up. The morning sun turned the tiles golden. A breeze carried the smell of orange blossoms and distant water. The muezzin stood here, said Clara softly, and he sang prayers so everyone could hear. Yes, said Abuela, and now we can come here too, thanks to those ramps. Clara looked down at the stairs that weren't stairs, the ramps that had carried her so gently to the sky. They were so clever. They were so kind. I'll never forget this, said Clara. As the sun climbed higher, Clara and Abuela began to descend. Going down felt even more magical than going up. Each window showed them more of Seville waking. A woman opened the shutters of her window far below. A baker swept to the doorstep of his shop. Market vendors arranged oranges in perfect pyramids. They don't know we're watching them, whispered Clara. We are like the tower, said Abuela, silent watchers of the city's life. The ramps spiraled them back down into the cool shadows. The stone beneath Clara's feet felt familiar now, like an old friend. Will the ramps always be here? Asked Clara. Yes, said Abuela. As long as Seville stands, these gentle ramps will carry people up and down. Even children, even grandmothers, everyone promised Abuela. They reached the bottom of the tower. The heavy door opened to the warm afternoon air. Clara turned back to look up at La Giralda one more time. It rose above the square, ancient and patient, waiting for the next climber, waiting for the next child who would discover its clever secret. Thank you, Abuela, said Clara, for showing me the ramps, for telling me the story. Abuela squeezed her hand. Some buildings teach us as much as any teacher, she said softly. As the sun began to set, the tower's shadow grew long across the plaza. And so Seville also slowly fell asleep. Good night.